Okay, prayer is going on.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. Gargi, do we have any guests?
No. Yes. Vinay's parents are here.
Welcome. Welcome,
See.
Mr. Pai and Mrs. Pai. Nice seeing you on the show often. Very nice.
Sure.
Can I now request the secretary to make our announcements, please?
Yeah, just a second.
Welcome, Mr. Manoj.
Good evening. Thank you.
Yeah.
Gargi?
Right. Yes. There are about 1, 2, 3, 4 birthday celebrations.
Wow.
So on 28th, we have Anne Uma Ravi Kumar celebrating her birthday. And Sheila Ramesh Kumar is celebrating her birthday on 1st of June. Rotarian Vinay Pai on 2nd of June. Vinay, many happy returns. I know you've logged in. Okay, and your parents are also here. So hello to them also. And then we have Anne Hamsini Appadurai on 2nd June. Appa, please convey our best wishes to Hamsini. I know you're logged in. Okay. Right. Now, there are a few announcements, though we have been talking about it for quite some time, and also probably some are little away. So, but still, I thought I'll keep on talking about this so that people will remember. Our board meeting is of course, on 5th. That's going to be the last board meeting of this Rotary year on 5th of June.
The joint board meeting.
Yeah, it's a joint board meeting. Then we have our general body meeting. This is also the 4th and the last general body meeting on 10th of June. We have our charter celebration on 17th of June. Now, this is a little early to kind of give any details, but the date is confirmed. And once President finalizes a few details about it, we will make the announcement. The last but not the least, guys, please, I'm back to you once again with the district conference registration request. Now the district conference is going to be virtual on 26th and 27th June. So all the details I have already forwarded because mail has come from Ambika. She's the chair of the conference committee. And so please do your registration. And since it's a virtual conference, I don't think any one of you will be having any problem to register. And the registration fee and all the details are also given in her mail. So please go ahead and do your registration. The dates are 26th and 27th of June. That is absolutely at the fag end of this Rotary year. But DG kept on pushing the date with the hope that probably situation will improve and we can really do a face-to-face district conference. But ultimately, it didn't work out. So he has taken a final call that we will be having a virtual conference. And that's on 26th and 27th. The least we can do probably is registering for this virtual conference. Okay.
And it's much cheaper. And
Thank
it's much
you.
cheaper than the other one.
Yeah, it is
Gargi,
700. Yeah, it's 700 rupees for the registration. And the registration link and all the details are given in the mail only. So it's on WhatsApp also. So you can directly register. Not a problem. Yeah, that's all from my side. Over to you, Ravi.
Thank you, Gargi. So last, Sunday we had voted for NT Sagar region candidate. I think with a lot of clubs voting, having a negative vote against a former DG, we could get a NT Sagar to come close to the winning post, but we still couldn't make it. But it doesn't matter. I think the message has gone loud and clear that I think people who are contesting for the DG elections should be neutral and they cannot be aligned to any group. That's the message I think which has gone very clearly to the next few candidates who are supposed to be on the queue. So I think the next few elections will be hopefully free and fair of any lean towards any major forces. So we hope that the district will be a better place, at least before the bifurcation. And after the bifurcation, I'm sure we will do whatever is required because cantonment will be a slightly larger club by then and we'll have a lot more say. So hopefully we'll do our bit then. That's my announcement on the DG elections. Now, may I now invite Nazar Fazal to do his Rotary information talk, please.
Good evening. The topic for today's Rotary information talk is Rotary monthly themes. So starting with July is a transition month to the new leadership where the new team takes over. The month of August is membership and new club development. September is basic education and literacy. October, economic and community development. November, Rotary Foundation Month. December, disease prevention and treatment. January, Vocational Services Month. February, Peace and Conflict Prevention and Resolution. March, Water and Sanitation. April, Maternal and Child Health. May, Youth Services Month. And finally, June, Rotary Fellowships. So Rotary allocates different teams for all the 12 months of the Rotary year. Based on this, clubs may develop meeting agendas, projects, awards, etc. This was a brief overview of the monthly themes. Hope you found this useful. Thank you.
Thank you, Nasser. And now invite Swaru to invite Speaker Manoj. Do the introduction for Speaker Manoj and then bring him in.
Thank you, Ravi.
Yeah.
Good evening, President Ravi, Secretary Gargi, my dear Rotarians, guests, and our speaker, Mr. Manoj. It's my pleasure this evening to introduce this dynamic, enthusiastic, motivating personality, and most importantly, my dear friend, Mr. Manoj Talakat. Manoj is the CEO of Flexi Partners, a 14-year-old HR consulting firm with operations in India, UAE, Qatar, and Oman, focused on leadership hiring. He's a seasoned profession with 22 years of experience spread across consumer goods, telecom, and banking. He was associated with India's biggest brands like ICICI, Reliance, and Idea Cellular. Manoj is a certified international trainer with JCI, that is Junior Chamber International, and has 20 plus years experience as a speaker and trainer with international and national and international exposure. He also founded Reflex, a training organization which imparts corporate and institutional trainings through a revolutionary concept of experiential learning. During the lockdown in 2020, he started a new company, School of Public Speaking, and in the last 1 year has conducted close to 50 batches of online public speaking courses attended by around 600 participants. He is also a regional training consultant for BNI Bangalore, and he is the director of Bangalore Schools Educational Initiatives focused on education and schooling, and co-runs one of the largest online communities with 55,000 parents as members. Manoj has also co-founded an NGO named Feed the Nation and works with the underprivileged in mental destitute homes, juvenile homes, orphanages, and old age homes. His other passion is driving and has done a 23-day, 10,000 kilometers drive from God's own country, Kerala to Kashmir. Family front, Manoj is married to Dr. Kavita, who's a psychosocial consultant. They have 2 kids, Anandita and Nimai. Please put your hands together and welcome Mr. Manoj C. Talakat. Thank you.
Welcome, Manoj.
Thank you, Mr. Ravi. Thank you, Swaroop, for that. Is it over to me now?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Please.
Okay.
Over to you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Swaroop, and thank you so much, Rotarians, for having me here. And let me promise you, I have not influenced Swaroop to say so many good things about me. He did it on his own. And the whole credit or debit of whatever goes around for the next 20 minutes completely is on Swaroop. So you can catch hold of him later on. So my name is Manoj, as Swaroop said, and I enjoy speaking. And that's a passion that I have been carrying for a very long time. And communication is something which is very, very close to my heart, not just as a recruiter or as a coach or a communication coach, but also from a friend that I feel that that's a necessary skill that every child must possess. Every individual must possess, but it's better to start when you're a child. And I've been lucky enough to kind of work with a lot of children over the last 20 years. Thousands of children have come for my programs. And the pandemic gave me an amazing opportunity to kind of start something completely different. And when I first thought about it, the naysayers, as they call it, or the conspiracy theorists, as you want to call them, came up and said that, okay, you can't do this. You can't teach public speaking online because it is like somebody saying swimming can be taught over post. You can't do it. You need to get into the water to swim. How can you teach public speaking online? I thought it's a great challenge to have. And I took up that as a challenge. And on 11th of April of 2020, I started my first batch with 12 children. And today I am standing at 600 plus children, covering 50 batches of public speaking. So the challenge was, can public speaking be taught online? And the answer is yes. Now, I still do not know swimming can be taught online. I have not figured that out. But public speaking definitely can be taught online. And that's something that we figured out. Now, what has happened over that period of time? There were children who came in for this program who could not give a simple introduction. When I say introduction, I ask them to introduce themselves. And Swaroop has gone through this drill himself, so he understands what I'm talking about. So we asked them to do a simple introduction. And that introduction just needs to be of 30 seconds. Believe it, ladies and gentlemen, 95% of the people can't do that. And this is not just about children. I've been into recruitment for the last 14 years. And I know many of you have a corporate background and you've seen this question asked many, many times. Please tell me about yourself. How many people answer that question successfully to your liking? You know where they start? They start by saying, my name is Manoj. My dad's name is this. My mom's name is this. My uncle does that. My aunt does that. My brother is into this job. My sister is into this job. And I have all this stuff. And finally, I stopped them and asked them, I wanted to know about you. Where are you in this whole thing? And that's the reality of communication today. People are able to speak. People are not able to communicate. There's a huge difference between both of this. Like it's as simple as saying, every single person in this room can sing. Does anybody disagree to that statement? Every single person in this room can sing. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, we all sing. We sing under the shower. We sing when we are sitting in an online program. We sing when we are eating food. We sing when we are walking. We sing. But are we all singers? No, there is a difference. Similarly, we can all speak. Are we speakers? There is a huge difference. And that's the difference that I try to cover through this program. Now, where did it all start from? It all started many years back. Do you know that Mahatma Gandhi, the father of our nation, has famously written in his book, My Experiments with Truth, that he had a fear of public speaking? I don't know if you know that. Mahatma Gandhi had a fear of public speaking. Now that's unbelievable, right? He is the one who managed to speak the Britishers out of India. How can Mahatma Gandhi have a fear of public speaking? He writes in his book that on one day he was invited to London to give a speech, and he had to give a very little short speech. He wrote down in a small piece of paper and carried it. And on the stage, he could not get up and speak. And he had to get somebody else to read that speech for him. Mahatma Gandhi had a fear of public speaking. Another great gentleman that we all respect and look up to, every single business owner here looks up to that person, Warren Buffett. He says he had a fear of public speaking when he was studying. And then he went on to attend the Dale Carnegie program on public speaking, and he overcame that fear. You're looking at a boy who was afraid of public speaking. When I was in my 4th standard, I had to take part in an elocution competition. I did not have the courage to get onto that stage. I went and hid myself in a girls' washroom in my school. I did not have the courage, but I was very smart. I knew that if I was hiding in the boys' washroom, they'll catch me. So I went and hid myself inside the girls' washroom, and I was not caught for the whole day. But finally, when they caught me, they took me to my principal's office. My parents were waiting there because I was hiding inside that washroom for the whole day. I did not realize that how time went. And the school thought I was lost, and then they got my parents to the school to take me home. For the next 3 days, I did not want to go to school, but I was forced to go to school, sat in that class and cried because every single boy and girl in that school came and teased me, bullied me, made fun of me, calling me the boy who was hiding in that girl's washroom. 4th standard boy going through that. That's a trauma that left me crying for a very long time. And then I took a call that I am not crying because I could not give that speech. No, I'm not crying because I was hiding in that washroom. I am crying because I did not have the courage to go and speak. The only way I can overcome it is to go back to that stage and speak. Mustered enough courage, enrolled myself for the next program, got onto the stage. I literally fainted at a 4th standard. If I'm not exaggerating, I almost had a heart attack on stage. I closed my eyes, gave that speech. When I opened my eyes, I was crying, but the entire school was clapping for me because I still was the boy who was hiding inside that girl's washroom. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that boy has been a public speaking coach for the last 20 years. So my will or my grit is that if I can overcome that, if I can get out of that girl's washroom and become a public speaking coach, every single boy and girl deserves a chance never to go through that situation ever again. And that's the reason that I became a public speaking coach. This is not my business. This is just my passion, and I continue to do it. I did 2 batches when I was down with COVID. I was tested positive. I'm still in home quarantine. I did that 2 batches in spite of that because I felt that is the need, and I still believe that that is a need. How many schools do you know teach public speaking? Is there anyone in this room who knows a school that teaches public speaking? I run one of the largest communities on education and schooling in Bangalore, probably in India. We have 55,000 plus parents in that community. I have never heard about a school that has a course on public speaking. We teach rock climbing. We teach horse riding. We teach rocket science in schools. We teach everything. But communication, a basic necessity. Sorry, sir. Someone saying something? Sorry, missed it. Okay.
Please carry on. Please carry on.
Basic necessity is not taught in. No, maybe there could be that one odd school. I'm very, very happy to see if there is a school which is doing that, but most schools do not. And that's a necessity. And that's why there needs to be more coaches who are able to do it. Secondly, this message needs to go out to the parents that the children need help, because believe it or not, communication, like the topic says, is an art. It is not just an art. It is a science. There is a technique involved into it. From somebody who can speak to becoming a speaker is a journey. And that journey needs the science, the art, and the skill. And that can be taught only by a coach. And that's where people like me come in. Now, why do we even communicate? This is a question that typically people ask. I don't want to talk. So is it okay I don't talk? Is that a question that people ask? I don't want to talk at all. But why do we even communicate? We communicate to get certain things done, right? So if I can have a small interaction here, why do you think we need to communicate? Anybody can answer that. Why do you think we need to communicate? Forget communication, it's a big word. Why do we even need to speak? Who wants to answer that, please? Why do we even need to speak?
Primarily to make ourselves heard.
Charian sir, thank you so much. To make ourselves heard, okay? It is still from our side, okay? Anyone else? I can see some of you in the camera, so at least you guys can answer that question. Makes it a little more interesting when you're interacting. Okay? Okay, Swaroop did not warn me about this.
One thing that differentiates us from, that's one thing that differentiates us from animals.
One thing that clearly differentiates from animals. Wonderful. Thank you, sir, for that. Right. Any other last one? One more. One more. Okay. I can see people unmuting, but not wanting to talk. But still, I'm giving it another.
Muting and not talking is why you need public speaking.
Muting and not talking is why you need public speaking. Now, this is my third session today, just for your information. I started at 7 o'clock with another session with somebody else. And I asked this question. That was a group of entrepreneurs sitting there. The first question I asked them is, how many of you will do business with somebody you cannot see? And everybody said, no, I will not be comfortable in doing business. Now, I asked them the same question. How many of you think they will be comfortable in doing business with you if your camera is not on? And suddenly all the cameras turned off. So, that's where the communication starts. It's not just about speaking, a lot more to that. But let me stick to the speaking part of it. Now, I think that communication is for three reasons, primarily three reasons. And I'll take you a classic example here. The first one, for example, let me put it in a very simple way. So for example, okay, Bangalore as a city has lost a lot of trees, right? We all know that. We have all heard about it. We have all read about it. And some study somewhere I read that we have lost somewhere in the range of 1 lakh change trees. Is that right?
Could be.
Could be, right? Now, if I'm saying that, okay, Bangalore has lost close to 1 lakh trees in the last few years, that is one part of communication I'm doing. What am I giving? I am giving you the first part of communication, the first I in communication, which is information. That's the first part. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that's where 85% of our communication stops. We give an information and it stops there. Go back to your childhood. I am very sure most of you have those little ones at home, or you would have been enjoying with them, the tiny little ones, 6 months old, 1 year old. How do they communicate? One way of communication, cry. Right? And mothers are amazing creatures, you know. They know why that cry is for. Is it for milk? Is it for diaper change? Is it for being carried around? And they get exactly that, right? That cry is information that I need something. But does the baby get what they want? Baby gets what the mother wants to be given. That's the first I, the information part of it. As we grow, today you and me cannot sit in this corner and cry and expect food to come to us. Can we?
No.
Food won't come. Somebody will open that door, look inside and say, hey, something is wrong with that guy. Call the doctor immediately. So why can a 6-month-old baby get food by crying and a 40-year-old man or woman not get food by crying? Because we have developed that skill. And if you have developed that skill, if you're not using it, there is something wrong with us. Because that is one skill, as Sir said, is clearly what differentiates you and me from the rest of the four-legged creatures out there. They can't communicate the way we can, and we don't communicate because we don't want to communicate. And we are not even using that skill. This is exactly like how a baby would have decided that I'm not going to walk. I'm going to crawl my rest of my life. Would you as a parent allow that? No. But a baby decides that I don't want to communicate. We are perfectly fine with that. Now that's the first I wanted to start with. Now that is one part. Now 85% of the communication, as I said, ends there, where I say, I've given you an information. I'm not even saying beyond that. Would you get work done with information?
No.
We can't get work done with information because you give the information, it is up to that person to decide what to do with that information. So I go one step further, wherein I say, Bangalore has lost 120,000 trees. Rotary Club Cantonment has decided that they are going to plant 1,000 trees this weekend. What would you say with that? Would you say, wow? If you are somebody who's hearing that news, that we are going to plant 1,000 trees, you would say, wow, great job. I am trying to get into the next phase, which is inspiration. I am trying to inspire you to do something. Still, it is not going to happen. Inspiration is still not going to happen. Because you may not still do anything about it. Oh, they are doing it? Fantastic. Great job. We will all clap and sit here. Now, I need to get to the third level. 95% of our communication ends at inspiration. We still don't get our work done. If you need your work to get done, you need to get to the next stage, wherein I ask, we lost 120,000 trees. We are going to plant 1,000 trees, but we can only plant 1,000. If all the Rotary clubs in Bangalore come together, we might be able to plant 100,000 trees. How many of you are with me on this? Please raise your hand, and you might see hands going up. I get into the third level of communication, which is influencing you. If you are able to influence, your work get done. Now let me put it in a very, very simple way, my dear friends. A child wants to eat something. The child's favorite food is, say, pasta. Okay? Mama is busy in the meeting, or mama is busy doing something else. The child sits here and say, Mama, I am hungry. What are the chances of that child getting pasta? 0. Mama is going to give what she wants to give. Most probably a curd rice is coming his way. Is the child happy with that? No. He wanted pasta, but he's going to get curd rice. He informed, right? He informed his mother that I'm hungry. That is where communication ends. Information. 85% communication ends there. But the child, is very, very smart. Children are generally smart. Education ruins them, it says. Now, children get into that and then they say, Mama, you remember last birthday, you made that amazing white sauce pasta? It's still in my tip of my tongue, Mama. Mama is still busy doing something. But what are the chances of that child getting pasta now? Has it gone up a little bit?
Yes.
He still might get the curd rice because Mama is busy with a lot of other stuff. But the chances of him getting pasta have gone up to a little better position. Child does the third thing, which is the influencing thing. Mama, I don't know why, but today I feel like having that pasta once more. It is just drooling in my mouth and I'm not able to control it, Mama. What are the chances of that child getting a pasta now? Much, much, much better. That's a difference. Information, inspiration, influencing. You know where this is used the best? Advertisements. Many of you guys are in that field, you know it very well. Look at any advertising. Take, for example, one of those health drinks. I'm not naming them. Any of them, the Bonvitas and the Horlicks and the Boost of the world. What does they show first? There is a bottle. And if they tell you, what is the information they can tell you? They tell you that we have carbohydrates, minerals, fats, vitamins, all of that stuff in this. Who's going to buy that? Would you say, hey, wow, this looks nice. It has got carbohydrates and minerals. Let me buy it for my son. Or is the son going to come and ask you that, Dada, that thing has carbohydrates and minerals in that. I want that. No. So what do they do next? They show you a boy who's bowling and he's not able to hit a wicket. And then suddenly his mama comes with that drink for him. He drinks and he bowls, he hits the middle stump. Or that boy who's 3 feet tall, shorter than everybody else, mama gives him that drink, he drinks it, suddenly he's 4.5 feet. That is inspiration. So the first one is information, that is inspiration. You know where the influencing comes? They tell you, do you want your son to bowl out Virat Kohli? Drink this. Which dad would say no? Or they say, do you want your son to go from 3 feet to 4.5 feet by just drinking this? Which mama would say no? You go buy that thing. The child will still be 3 feet. He's not going to be 4.5 feet. But they sell. They follow the 3I principle. They inform, they inspire, and then they influence you to take a decision. Is your communication enough to take a decision? Are you communicating enough to make people take a decision? If your communication is reaching there, ladies and gentlemen, you are communicating well. If you are not, then you need to start working on that communication. So that's the purpose of communication. If you're only doing the first part of it, information part of it, you are not doing justice. Now you go back and think, where am I lacking? Because a lot of this communication is not getting you results that you want. Take it to the next level, the inspiration level, and the third level, the influencing level. You will get 99.9%. It is like that Dettol soap. I am not committing 100%, but you will still get 99.9% result. And that's a proven one then. Now, we all talk about this, right? Communication gap happens from there. Because I have informed and I'm expecting that child or my wife or my husband or my whoever to take an action on it. I've informed that I'm hungry. I'm expecting my mama to take an action on it. Mama gives me curd rice. Because that's all the information I've given. We call it communication gap. What is the gap? The gap is the last two I's. The gap is the inspiration and the influencing part. We are not telling them what to do. Marketing terminologies, you want to call it call to action, CTA, different. But in a home communication, are you ensuring your child, your husband, your brother, your sister, your parents, anybody for that matter, even for that matter, your maid or your security guard, knows what action to take? Because otherwise, the action that he or she is going to take is depending on him and not on your need. So can you change that mode of communication from someone who can just inform to somebody who can inspire, somebody who can influence? And once you start doing it, ladies and gentlemen, the communication completely takes a turnaround and then it becomes better. We talk about the skill and the will part. Many of them have natural ability to speak. Right? We've seen those children. They have natural ability. I've had children attending my workshop who have already given a TED talk. 9-year-old child who has already given a TED talk. And then I asked the mom that, why are you sending your child to this? She said, he needs to learn some more techniques. And I said, fantastic. That's what I want to hear from you. Now, how can somebody give a TED talk without knowing communication? Now, I can give you a simple example. I have 2 children at home. My elder one is 18 now, my younger one is 12. But when my elder one was much smaller, 5 years old, she wanted to learn swimming. And you know, typical girls, right? They came and told me, Dad, I want to learn swimming. So first we go to the nearby shop, buy the entire swimming dress, Barbie swimming dress, Barbie cap, Barbie goggles, Barbie chappal, everything Barbie. We buy all of that, some pink color. She looks like a pinky. We go to Jayanagar swimming pool to learn swimming. She's all excited, swimming pool, and she's all ready to jump into the pool, 5-year-old child. I give her to the swimming sir. He takes her, puts her into the water, and she's playing around for some time. And then he says, take the dip, and leaves her. She goes in, comes out. And that's when the whole thing changes. Saraswati Ma became Kali Ma. And she was crying, howling. I don't know what all she did, but the swimming sir had no option but to give her out and give it to me. I carried her. She was hitting me, pinching me, kicking me, biting me. She could do everything, and she was crying at the top of her lungs. I decided to carry her back home, and people stopped me. They thought I was kidnapping a child. Jayanagar swimming pool, hundreds of people stopping me, saying that I'm kidnapping a child. I had to make them convince the swimming sir. I had to come out and tell them that this is his own child, this is what happened. 2 years, she did not even go near the swimming pool. 2 years, she did not even step near the swimming pool. We shifted to an apartment which had a swimming pool. She will not come that side. She will take the long route to come home. Finally, the swimming sir in my apartment convinced her to get into the pool. And slowly but steadily, she learned swimming. My son was 3 years old. He would accompany her like a bodyguard in his diapers every day to the swimming pool, sit there, watch her swim. Every day when she comes out, he will look at the swimming sir with that puppy face. 3-year-old boy, chubby boy, looking at the swimming sir with the puppy face. You can imagine what goes through that sir's mind. Finally, he gave up and asked him, do you want to get into the water? And he said, yes. That boy learned swimming when he was 3 years old. He could do the entire lap when he was 3 years old. Kids from the same genes. One had no fear. The other one had every possible fear in the world. Second one learned it without any kind of push. He learned it by himself. Now, 75% of the world population is like my daughter. They are afraid of public speaking. They are afraid of the stage. They are afraid of communication. 25% is like my son. They are not. Now, do the second one needs technique? Can he just get into the pool and learn it by himself because he doesn't have the fear of water? No, he needs to learn, otherwise he will also drown. But he will stay in the pool without making any haphazard because he loves the water. Even that is dangerous because he doesn't know the risk involved into it. Exactly the same way communication works. Every single child needs to be trained on communication. Now, I'll give another example. You're sitting in a cycle, for example. Swaroop, I put you on a cycle, and if you know that, I know Swaroop is a superb cyclist, but let us take, for example, Swaroop doesn't know cycling at all. First time he's been made to sit in a cycle, and I push you down a road. It's going down all the way. You don't know cycling. You have no basics of cycling. You sit in that cycle and you have to go down. Will you be able to go down without falling? How much chances are there?
Very low chance. Very low chance.
How much chances are there that you might be able to move a little further, Swaroop? You may not be able to reach the end, but will you be able to move a little? Because you have your normal, natural balance of your body, the E is equal to MC square, everything works together for you, and you might be able to move a little bit because the velocity will take you down. Okay, you may not reach the bottom, you might fall down. That's a different thing. But you will be able to move. Now think about this. I tell you to do the same thing from bottom to go up. How much will you be able to move? 0.
I may walk up.
0. The moment you get on that cycle, you will fall down. Because you know why? Going from top to the bottom in that velocity takes only your will. Do you have the grit to do that? You will be able to go down. You will fall, but you will still move. Bottom up, you need the skill, not just the will. That skill is what is missing in children. And that skill is what is need to be taught. So I just want to leave you with that message that art of communication is not just the art. It's a necessary skill every child must possess. And the message also that there are 3 reasons that we communicate, the 3 I's: the information, the inspiration and influencing, I am very sure you can implement it in your workplace, you can implement it in your Rotary life, you can implement it in your home, and communication becomes a much, much swifter affair. You will not have communication gaps, because you know what? Relationships are spoiled because of that one word communication gap. Wish you all the best. Thank you so much, Swaroop, for having me here. And thank you, Rotarians, for giving me this chance. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Manoj. Wonderful. Wonderful introduction to communication. I think I'm hearing this after 30 years. I used to go to went once to a communication workshop by Kichu Krishnan and Merchant. Amazing. It used to be called the Indian Communications Network. These days it's called the MILT. One of our past presidents is also a member of that. So any question and answers are welcome.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Just curious to know, since your daughter was so afraid of the water, what did the swimming coach in your apartment complex tell her to get rid of that fear and get her into the water? How did he communicate that?
Two things happened, sir. One, the swimming coach started to make her talk to the children who are swimming already. So there was a peer group which was formed of her same age group, and she realized that she was left behind because the rest of the kids could swim. That was one. Secondly, honestly, I had to bribe her. 5-year-old child, 6-year-old child, Cadbury Dairy Milks always work. So those are the two ways that we worked on. It was a dual approach, one from the coach, one from my side, and it worked. The moment she got into that pool, she was okay. I think she got scared because in that public pool, there were hundreds of people screaming, shouting, and all that stuff. This was a much personal affair. The coach and she working together till the time she was comfortable. It was a one-to-one coaching, and then she built it up for me.
I think one of the aspects of the coach, when he's communicating, he also needs to get, like you said, there's a fear of public speaking. So first you need to get rid of the fear, and then you'll get onto the stage. Similarly, that coach must have done something very good to get rid of the fear of the water and then get her into the water. So I thought you were a very great communicator.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I totally agree to that.
I would like to say something here. You did mention that a communication when you said that 1 lakh trees were cut. Okay. And so what do? This is an information we have shared. Say you have shared. Now, what is the action? I'll say the action was still fly over Beda. That was the action happened. And it became a huge movement. And ultimately, government had to stop that.
Correct.
So definitely, it works. You see, the communication is not one way; it 2 ways communication. And often I have heard from the children. Children means say probably even class 7, 8, 9, and all. So they feel shy about talking. Okay, it's not that they cannot speak, like you rightly said. But the moment you make them stand in front of the podium, you will find there's a shyness, they feel awkward. Now, to help them to overcome that is what I think a communication coach's first job, probably.
Absolutely. So that is where I start, ma'am. In terms of my online public speaking program also, I help them do that because a lot of it is here. A lot of it is here. How do you ensure you overcome that is a technique. And that's a technique I help them understand. And I'll give you a couple of examples. A child who could not come and speak. I got a message from his mom yesterday. This is a child who could not give his introduction. He just said his name and he said, I'm from Bangalore, and he stopped. That child participated in a moon contest and won it. all online. He has never gone to school in between. So he attended my program. Last week, he has won a moon contest. Another child, good friend's son, similar issue. He hosts a YouTube channel today. He's running his own YouTube channel all by himself. He's hosting a show. A third child started hosting his mom's cookery show. So all these children had the fear of doing it, but they have overcome it because the moment you understand that technique, it's easy after that.
But you see, this is not only for the kids, even adults.
I do adult classes.
Some of the very knowledgeable guys, who are mastering their subject probably. And it's very surprising. There's, if I may use the word, such a bad orator or such a bad speaker. When they come as a speaker, you expect a lot to hear from them. But they land up saying something, which probably we're not really looking forward to.
So I do a 6-step process. Swaroop has gone through that process earlier. I do a 6-step process wherein I help them create that speech. So the journey is from somebody who can speak to a spectacular speaker. That journey is just 5 days. And if you do that properly, works. Every time it works. It works like a bliss. It's a technique, ma'am. That's what I say.
Yes. By the way, we didn't know, Swaroop, that you went for a communication workshop.
Swaroop, sorry, I was not able to.
To keep up with you and President, I had to go through.
One of the typical problems which we see is that people who are very comfortable speaking to, say, 4 or 5 people sitting around, the same people you ask them to stand in front of a podium and talk to a bigger crowd.
Impossible.
They have serious difficulties.
Chirain sir, I had a participant. I don't know if it was in the same batch when Swaroop came in. She is a CEO of a company which has got 2,000 employees. And she said, I can speak to my employees any day, anytime, anything. But the moment I have to speak in front of a group, I can't. Another group. So that's another problem. Teachers who could speak in front of their students for hours together, the moment they are asked to go on stage and speak in front of a strange crowd, they can't. So that's where the technique helps them. Sir.
Ask a question.
Yes, ma'am.
If in terms of like public performance, right? So there are is public speaking a kind of performance? Okay, in the sense that is it a common fear that stops us from speaking and let's say participating in a play and whatever else, performing something on stage, singing, whatever it is, publicly? Is it a common fear? So if we overcome, let's say, the fear of public speaking, we can overcome all of the others, or are they different?
The toughest one is the fear of public speaking, because I've had enough experiences with people who can sing on stage, who can do an act on stage, who can dance on stage, but cannot give a public speech. The reason when I was analyzing it is because when you're going to sing and you have practiced it so well that you're a master of doing that, you have no fear. In public speaking, you are not a master. You're still a novice. And that fear creeps in every time you're on stage. You are doing a group dance, but you can't do a single dance. There are people who can do that because the group helps them to do that. There's a invisible kind of a protection around them. If you overcome the fear of public speaking, no, I don't think that you can overcome the fear of all of them, nor vice versa. 75% of the people in the world are afraid of public speaking. That's a fact. That's a skill that you need to be developed separately. The rest is all the matter of your ability to sing or dance or whatever it is. That comes with the separate skills.
Thanks.
You would have seen, ma'am, people who can't sing, who are pathetic singers, sorry to use that word, but have no problem in going on stage and singing. And not even after a couple of drinks, even without that, they can do that. And then you think, how do you get that courage? and then you say it's all the somebody, right? So could be that, but public speaking needs a completely different skill, because you are all alone in front of such a big audience, and that's a fear that really creeps into you. There is an amazing study, if any of you want to catch up with that. Charles Darwin has done a study on this. It goes up to those days. Think about it.
I have a question, Nissi. I'd like to know why some people are such a good speaker when they're giving a prepared speech, okay? But you ask them to give an impromptu speech. They're pathetic, absolutely. And does this also require a kind of a communication training or workshop?
Yes.
Or, yeah.
Impromptu speech is a completely different ball game. Now, if you ask me to speak on topics that I know I can, or I can create it because I've been doing it for so long. But this is the same skill, ma'am. There are children who can sing a particular song. But if you learn Carnatic, they can do that Manodharma without even anybody telling them what to sing. They can do that. So it all comes from that preparation. So somebody can write down the speech, practice in front of the mirror or whatever, by heart that speech and go and give that speech. That's no skill. That's your memory working. All you need to do is go behind that guy and tap him. He'll forget everything. Nothing will come out after that. Because it's just a flow, and the moment that flow stopped, it stops. That's no way to learn it. The way to learn it is to know how to prepare that whole thing. I give you a piece of paper and I write a biryani ka recipe in that, to the dot, including saying 35 grams of chili powder, boil it for 45.5 minutes. Every single person in this room can make a biryani. The skill is of making that biryani without that chit in hand.
Go ahead.
What do you think about Toastmasters?
Somebody is talking about Toastmasters.
We can't hear him.
Sorry, I can't hear that. Sorry.
Toastmasters Club.
The mute again, not.
There's an organization by name Toastmasters Club.
Yes.
Yeah. I think Shivdev is referring to that.
Yeah.
Toastmasters is an amazing organization to be part of. It is very similar to that because you do it continuously, week on week, every week. My techniques are slightly different from theirs. I'm not part of Toastmasters. The program that I do is mostly self-developed through my experiences. But Toastmasters is an amazing organization if you want to learn speaking on a regular basis.
There's one question from the audience where why are these doctors very poor communicators? They're both a written communication is horrible. Of course, only the chemist can make out.
Okay, sir,
oral communication also.
So yesterday I was doing a training program for a group of entrepreneurs in Erode. And there was this very famous letter that Mahatma Gandhi has written. Do you know that Mahatma Gandhi had a pathetic handwriting, very bad handwriting? Nothing could be read from that. So I put that letter in front of them to kind of was talking about the strength versus weakness part. And Mahatma Gandhi's weakness was his handwriting. And I have never had a single person who could read more than 3 words from that letter. And in that group, there was a gentleman sitting who could read 10 words out of that. The first question I asked him, are you a pharmacist? He said, yes, sir. How did you know? Okay. But I would like to disagree there because I know quite a lot of doctors who are outstanding speakers. Quite a lot of them. Practicing doctors who are outstanding speakers. I don't think it's a generic thing. Handwriting.
Devi Shetty itself.
Amazing.
Devi Shetty is a good.
Amazing.
Yeah, but Devi Shetty is one amongst he's more a businessman now.
So I know doctors who are amazing speakers. I don't know why the thought that they are bad speakers came up from, but I am nobody to comment on their handwriting because I am a victim of that myself many times. But I know doctors who are great speakers. I wouldn't have an answer on why they are bad speakers there.
Dr. C.R.R. Pillai, who was a district governor in Chennai, was another really outstanding speaker.
I think the doctors are great speakers when they are asked to speak to an audience, but they are very lousy communicators when they come to speak to their own patients and their relatives. I think they do it for professional reasons to save themselves. You know, they don't communicate anything to the patient or the relatives. And
there is a very interesting saying that the best communicator among your service providers is your barber. You go to that guy, you will know everything that is happening in your surroundings. You don't have to do anything. You just sit there and he will update you about everything. He keeps communicating all the time. So doctors don't want
you tend to open up also to him.
Correct. Because your information is his feed for the next guy.
Anyway, you can't speak because he has got the knife on your throat.
Knife on your throat.
Any more questions, please?
Our own Dr. Hemant Kalyan is a great speaker.
Yes. So when it goes to, when you ask his patients whether a doctor is a good speaker or a good communicator, they'll say he may be a good speaker. He talks everything other than the subject, which I want to know. Because patients are basically going into surgeries, especially most of the surgeons, they are men of few words, you know. They'll say, will it happen? Yeah, yes, no. They won't even say anything more than that. You know, is it going to be very painful? No, not really. That's it. They won't even say that whether the surgery is being done through anesthesia, not, you know. So this is my personal experience with them.
I think that today's generation of doctors are much better communicators than the earlier ones, because I remember as a child when I used to go to the doctor, my dad and I would be there and my dad would go and tell him that, okay, he had a fever. This guy wouldn't even look at me. He will look at my dad and then write something and give it and we walk out. I wouldn't know if I had a fever or I had something else. I have no clue. All you do is buy that medicine and eat and hope that you get better. He wouldn't talk. But today's doctors are much, much, much better. Definitely better. I'm seeing a lot of trainers coming up from the doctors' fraternity. External trainers, and they do amazing business coaching and life coaching sessions. Amazing.
One of the subjects that are taught to the doctors now is to how to put the patients at ease. You know, again, because the patients are scared, patients are nervous. So when they want to talk to the patient, they need to put them at ease and make sure that they are more relaxed. And I think that is the bedside manners that they talk about.
Sure. Absolutely.
Vote of thanks, President.
Yeah. I thought if there are any more questions, anybody wants to say something. Otherwise, may I invite our President-elect, Vinod John, to propose the vote of thanks, please.
Thank you, Manoj. Wonderful to see you. I've been seeing you after a very long time. I had the opportunity of meeting Manoj at when I was invited to one of the BNI meets, courtesy Swaroop and Sudeep. I think he was a president at that point of time, and I saw him handling that BNI crowd so wonderfully. He's such a vibrant and energetic personality. I was extremely impressed, I must say, Manoj, when I came out at that BNI meet. Today's talk you delivered to us was extremely, I love the simplicity in the way you brought out the topic and clearly bringing out the difference between being a good speaker and a good communicator. Obviously, public speaking is a different ballgame altogether. We here, Rotarians, all of us are known to be extremely good communicators. But trust me, people, including me, when it comes to public speaking, we rather hide in the toilet, just like you did. So we definitely need lessons on public speaking. And I agree that children today have to be exposed to some form of training. That's very important because they are, especially in today's world, they're so reticent and they're kind of secluded that they don't have the exposure. Training is a necessary a good thing that they would have to go through. And I also like that 3I principle of yours in terms of 3 levels into informing, aspiring, and influencing, which is very key in terms of communication. Hopefully, we would be most of us at any point of time, however old we are, we have to get over that inhibition about public speaking, and that's what we all aspire to do. Thank you very much for a very refreshing, nice talk. It's really lovely to have you over with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vinod. I bring the 48th meeting of Rotary Cantonment to a close. People can stay on this meeting, could exchange informal thoughts with Mr. Manoj. Please go ahead, and anybody wants to talk, ask questions.
Manoj, are you still a part of BNI?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I saw another BNI person with a BNI background at the back. Why?
Oh, yeah,
Sarup,
no,
yeah,
he joined in late. He joined in after. He joined in after I introduced Manoj. So.
May I welcome him?
I think
Mr. Vikram. Vikram is the name I saw.
Vikram, yeah.
Vikram has left, I think.
Yeah, he is left. I guess.
So you have been a communication coach for a long time, or how does it?
I've been doing trainings on communication since 20 years now.
Okay.
So
before that, were you part of any corporate entity, or?
I used to work with Reliance, ICICI Bank, Idea Cellular, and all that. But the communication coaching started much before that. So I used to conduct the summer camps for children. And last year, the summer camp did not happen because of the COVID. So some of the parents said that, okay, why don't we try it online? And that's how the first batch started. And then it was like one after another, the batches automatically started coming up. So it was only for teenagers first. Then the parents said, we have smaller ones at home. Can you do a batch for the younger ones? Then the parents came up and said that both my children have attended. Can you do a batch for us? So the parents batch started, the adults batch started. So now I have 3 age groups that I do, 8 to 12, 12 to 18 and adults, 3 batches. And typically do around 2-3 batches in a month, not more than that. Because my primary business is still the recruitment business that I drive. So that's where I am.
Very nice.
So this is more of a passion to kind of help that children. So this is still not a full-fledged business for me. Recruitment is what makes me survive.
The bread and butter, yeah. Good.
So I operate India and the Middle East markets and leadership hiring.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. Pleasure. We'll connect otherwise.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Manoj. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.